my lifters marked, starting at the front, exhaust intake, so on and so forth. There's our little mushroom tappets. You guys really can't see a damn thing, can you? We've got a couple different ways you could do this. Some people like to put the pistons in first. In this case, because the camshaft's out of the way, it's not really going to do much in our situation here. We can go ahead and put that one in. What's cool about these, let me fly in on this one too. So there's a camshaft bore, oil galley. Same thing in the middle and at the end. There are no bearings for this camshaft. It rides directly in the block. And then you've got the thrust retainers right there. And it locates it this way. So we're going to make sure we sauce that one up pretty good. There's also timing marks on these gears. There's a dimple. There's another dimple on the cam. So what we're going to do is very carefully. What the heck? Bubble, air bubble. I thought there was a big old chunk of shit on one of the cam lobes. These are little marks I was talking about. One. That is how you time everything. There'll be two corresponding marks on the idler and again on the distributor for spark. But that really is that easy. That's not hard at all, which is cool. My machinist labeled everything, so that's awesome. And there's our 2 dots. Perfect. Yeah, we could throw the idler in too. Let's do that. So we've got our 2 dots right there. 2 dots on the crank, so we'll just line them puppies up like so. There's an oil passage in there too. Topside so we can put pistons in. These rings. Labeled 1, 2, and 3. 1 is your top compression, 2 is your second compression, 3 are your oil scrapers. That's what we're going to start with first. Start with the oil ring groove first. And these are cast iron rings, and it specifically says in here, do not spiral the compression rings on. But the oil rings we can. So we'll do that. Stagger our gaps to make sure nothing lines up. Basically, you just want to take these gaps and rotate them so they're not directly in line. Quite possibly one of the best special purpose tools ever. That's how you not break stuff. Also, rings like to break. So if one does, we'll have iPro on because I don't want to lose my cornea over something stupid. So these are all our number 2s. These are our second compression ring. And there's dots on these to make sure the dots go up. You also want to check for something called back clearance. When you take the piston and you hold the ring all the way in, you want to see that the ring is just barely smaller than the piston itself. Otherwise, the piston ring's too wide for the groove. Usually not a problem. They're pretty good at measuring these things properly, but it says in the instructions that that's a good thing to check. Here's your top rings. You can also check your back clearance, taking your ring, sticking it in the groove and making sure that it is just slightly inside the groove. Sure our dots are in the right spot. And that's all there is to it. The other thing you want to do is make sure the ring gaps don't line up. So you want to take these, clock them about 180 out. You could do that once you start dropping them in. Now, the other nice thing about these pistons too is they're marked front with a little arrow and numbered. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's number 1. Put all our bearings in the rod journals, and then we'll start dropping these puppies in. Now, because this is an older motor, it's got cast iron rings and they're flat tappet cams, so I'm going to be using the Zinc Plus. I'm just going to wipe down the cylinder walls and make sure that the rings have some lubricity before we fire the thing up for the first time. Sometimes you get it where the piston is turned inside the bore. Not a big deal. You just rotate it. What you don't want to do is just make sure you don't mash it down into the crankshaft. Number 2, sir. Had a great bit of attention to detail. They stamp the caps because it is possible to swap these end over end without knowing it. let's flip it over and torque those bolts.